Warning: if you might be offended by foul language or off-color jokes, now is the time to kindly fuck off.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Londoner Calling Pubcast. Barry, another fun weekend of sport for us. We're gonna go over that. We're gonna talk about the real big news over the weekend. Today we have BJ from the Dallas Shed, a Chelsea supporter, and then we're gonna wrap up with a little more of that English slang that you like to teach us every week. So let's start with the big news of the weekend. Jurgen Klopp retiring at the end of the year, end of an era for Liverpool. What do you have to say about his time in Liverpool and how he's kind of just been such a staple of the games for the past however long, 7 years, right?
Yeah, but I do get the point. You're worn out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never, like I say, I wouldn't say I've not been anything that intense. I've had pubs that have gone under. You talk about intense, when you're trying to keep a pub open.
Yeah.
I've been through all that. It's stressful. So along the lines of being stressed and he's done good, and it's good to quit at the top as well.
Is he?
It's better than getting fired, where you get your glory years and then, you suddenly they start going down and they get rid of it.
So do you think that they will end on a high note? Do you think that Liverpool will end with silverware this year?
Even if they don't, he's quitting at the top, isn't he? It doesn't matter whether they get silverware or...
I think the fact of what he's done and what he's been able to accomplish in Pep Guardiola's era, let's call it's Pep Guardiola's league. He's won, 5 of the last 6? It's his era right now. But Klopp has always been that guy, neck and neck with him. And I think that without him, the popularity of the Premier League, specifically these last 6 years, is so much smaller than it was because he's kept it competitive.
Because we've got the football to talk about, the teams, but it's the personalities.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. You get, Klopp's got the personality. Unbelievable. If I had a manager, you'd see him on the sidelines. The EPL, you need your personality.
They're polarizing.
If you look at NFL, they won't let them do anything. And then,
you have some coaches. There are some NFL coaches, like a Nick Sirianni is very hated in Philadelphia. There's other coaches that are more universally loved, like Mike McDaniel in Miami, everyone loves. Mm-hmm. But I agree that it's not universally across the league as polarizing as some of these top coaches are. You think about the top coaches in today's game, and they all have that aura, that attitude, that the Klopps, the Peps, the Mourinhos, right? They all have that about them. And I think it does make it fun. I think it's going to be a huge loss for the league.
I think also with the managers you just spoke about, not only are they obviously great managers, but they're good because they take a lot of the pressure off their players. When they're doing what they're doing and they're taking all the pressure on their shoulders, aren't they? Yeah,
well, it's funny enough. I read Arsene Wenger's book a while ago, and he talks about that and how he is the one that has to take responsibility. And even when you watch, I don't know if you've seen the Amazon All or Nothing on Arsenal, but they show Arteta and he's in the dressing room and Arsenal had just lost, I believe it was a cup match away at Forest. And he's screaming, berating the players for how lack of effort they looked. And they looked terrible that day. It was the players' fault, right? And then he turns around and goes, I'll go take the blame again. I'll do it. And he goes to the meeting and says, I didn't have them prepared. I didn't do this. And it's so rare that you find that in sports also, a person who's willing to sit there and bear the weight of that.
You do. When you look at these players, okay, a lot of them, they're in their 20s, early 20s. Yeah. When you get an old one, he's 27 or 28, if not in his 30s.
Yeah.
Old.
Yeah, that's old for soccer.
You've got some.
We look at Ronaldo like he's ancient.
You've got some there, like I said, they're 19, 20, 21. They haven't had their first wank yet, let alone fucking play for a soccer team and take the pressure,
Yeah. No, I think it is big because, like you said, they are just kids. And he is someone that was willing to do that. I think just personality-wise, his post-conference or his post-match press conferences, his pre-match, any time he was in front of the microphone, it was much watched TV. You never knew what he was going to say.
I like Klopp, and how can you not?
No, he's such a person that even if you are a supporter of Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal, you have to at least respect him and what he's done for the game.
The good thing about it, that when he does retire, okay, when Liverpool get away with getting, there wasn't, a lot of times the other team get a penalty given, or they don't. I didn't see it. I bet you start seeing a lot more now. When you retire, you can see a lot of them penalties that Liverpool should have got against them, and you missed it.
Do you have any names to come in and replace Klopp? I think there's one obvious one.
There was one I thought that they're all going to get thrown out there.
Everyone's going to be linked for clicks, of course.
Bob won't be in it.
No, he will not. He will not.
But then there was one. It's the Portuguese one. The Portuguese teams. I can't remember.
Oh, like Benfica or Porto, one of their coaches?
Yeah, there's one of them. I forgot he got thrown in the mix. And I thought, no, because I watched them when they actually beat Arsenal a couple of years ago. Did they not? In the Euros, remember?
Yeah.
Celta Vigo, is that them?
Celta Vigo, don't think so. That's a Spanish team.
This is your job. You're the technical.
I was going to say Xavi Alonso, the manager of Bayer Leverkusen, former Liverpool player. Obviously,
of course he is. But, Leverkusen.
Yeah, Leverkusen. They're still undefeated in the league this year. Yeah. He's doing an immense job. It was funny because it looked like it was going to be Steven Gerrard for a time when he was at Villa, and he started off pretty well, and everyone's like, oh, he's going to take over for Klopp. He's going to off a cliff, didn't work out. He's managing in the Saudi league. He actually just signed a new contract in the Saudi league.
And then the other one, obviously, is the Brighton manager. He's been thrown in there.
Everyone's saying De Zerbi. I would like to throw out another name of Thomas Frank, the Brentford manager.
No, I did see that.
I think that Frank is going to get linked with this job, and I think that Liverpool should have a serious look at him because of what he's done with Brentford and specifically what he's done within financial fair play. Brentford are just as good as Brighton, if not anyone, as finding small gems.
But is it going to be the same as when Chelsea got their manager for Brighton?
Yeah, probably not. Probably not going to be a Graham Potter story.
Probably
not going to be a Graham Potter story. I think Frank is different. I think Potter was also not given a lot of time and walked into a very...
I guarantee if you talk to Liverpool fans, they want Alonso, obviously.
I think Alonso's the obvious pick. I think
can he... I mean, obviously he's under contract. It's going to cost them to get him.
They can pay.
Yeah.
They could pay, and also if Alonso wants to leave, he could force the move.
Klopp from now on, we've got Ten Bob, Big Ange. We've got a different name for him now, by the way.
Oh, what is it?
The Bubble.
The Bubble. Love that. Okay.
I'll tell you what, you don't know what it's for, do you?
I don't.
Cockney rhyme is slang. There's a dish called Bubble and Squeak. Bubble and Squeak is slang for Greek.
Okay.
So now... It's not Big Ange anymore. We've got Ten Bob, we've got the Bubble, and now we've got Clippity Clop.
Clippity Clop.
He's on his way out, Clippity Clop.
Yeah, we've only got Clippity Clop for a couple more months, so I guess we better enjoy it. But we can go back into the weekend's action. It was FA Cup this weekend. No Premier League games were played at all this weekend. We can start with the Bubble, actually. The Bubble lost to Man City, the first time they've ever scored, let alone won. After six times at Tottenham Stadium, they hadn't scored. They had a goal ruled for offsides in the very early minutes. I was like, oh my God, it's happening to them again.
It's one of these ones.
Something's cursed.
Was it another one like where they're trying to get underneath the goalkeeper like that?
It was
We've had a few of them.
It was a rebound by Oscar Bob, but it got called off. And then the goal they did score was Nathan Ake. They won the game 1-0. So credit Man City. Spurs, unless they win the Premier League, another trophyless season. That would be 16 straight years. I'm not even asking for it. I just wanted this on record. I want to put that out there.
All teams want consistency, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Tottenham are consistent.
They are consistent.
When it comes to not winning anything.
Yeah, consistently not winning anything. But unless they win the Premier League, it will be another trophy this season. So disappointed for them to go out, especially at home. I know it's Man City, but you think about if you want to win these trophies, you have to beat these teams.
Have they got Spursy yet?
I'm not going to say that yet. I do think that they are a different mentality under this new manager, but I think they will fall.
You've got some friends that are Spurs fans.
I do.
I've got some people that are friends. I text about Spurs and that, and they've all been telling me, oh, we're getting rid of the Spursy, we're getting rid of the Spursy. Unless you turn into Manchester City, you're not getting rid of the Spursy.
I think they're getting rid of the Spursy in terms of the way they play. They want to play more aggressively. I don't think that'll get rid of the Spursy. I think that they will... Everyone messes up, everyone slips, everyone chokes.
If you ever read Shakespeare and some of these things, there's some beautiful words in Shakespeare. Not that I've read him.
Of course.
But there's some beautiful words. I think the best word in the English language, and it's not in the English language yet, is Spursy.
Okay.
That is, I want that put. That's got to be in there. I mean, everybody talks about it. You know exactly what it is.
You know what it means, yeah.
You know. In fact, I was with some bird about quite a few months ago. We had a little bit of slap and tickle.
Yeah.
And when we finished, I said, "How was I?" She said, "Well, you started good, but you ended up Spursy." I mean, you don't want to hear that in the bedroom, do you?
If I was doing some slap and tickle and a girl called me Spursy, I would not leave my room for like 6 months minimum. Exactly. I'd be so embarrassed if in slap and tickle I got called Spursy personally.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
I would lose it. Yeah. We can move on. Other results from the weekend. Chelsea drew Aston Villa. Chelsea, again, like we just talked about, or we will talk about with BJ, you'll hear in our interview. I believe this is going to be before the interview. So we'll dive into that more. But they're in really good form. Huge replay there. I think that cup competitions for Chelsea, a team that isn't in Europe, are really important this year. Just for morale, if nothing else. You want to go on those deep runs. You want to keep playing. You want to have more games. So I think that's a game that they're really going to need to lock in for the second leg.
Obviously, it was 0-0, 0-0.
0-0.
But I thought Chelsea.
I think Chelsea should have won. I think Cole Palmer let you down that game. I
didn't get to watch the game, but
he
had
a couple chances he could have scored, but you don't want to put it on the kid. He's 21. He's carried you so far this year, right?
You got the Villa fans, and they all now they think they've got it. Now they've got to go back to.
I think they actually go back to Villa Park now. The second game's at Villa Park.
But
so
I think that's their fortress, evidently now.
They're good. They haven't lost. The last time they lost there was last spring against Arsenal when Arsenal, where Emi Martinez conceded an own goal in the 88th minute or something.
Over the years, you can get these teams that have gone so many games without losing.
Yeah.
They will come to an end.
Everything comes to an end.
Villa's is coming to an end.
It is?
Of course it is.
Love that. Look at the confidence there. We can move on and look elsewhere. Other big results. Man United this morning. Let's talk about it. They were up 2-0. They looked very good. They were playing Newport. They ended up winning 4-2, but Newport made it 2-2, and it was very interesting. It's a win for Man United. It's not a confidence installing win. If anything, it takes some away. Because you go into the game, you're playing Newport. There's so many leagues below you. You're Manchester United. This is a big day for the sport just to have you in the stadium.
How many leagues below them are they?
I'm not exactly sure. I should have looked that up. I should have looked up the exact places. There was one team yesterday that won, and it was 100 places below some championship team. The Magic of the Cup. But Man United 2-0 up within 13 minutes, exactly what you want. And then suddenly, in the second half, it's 2-2.
I was driving. So I'm driving, so I got my phone. I knew they were 2-0 up when I left Colleyville.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm coming down to Dallas to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at 2, and I look up, it's 2-2.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. So I'm in traffic.
Yeah.
I'm in there, and I think the bloke next to me, the guy next to me, he must have thought I was Meg Ryan having that orgasm. I'm going, yes. No, I'm telling you. Oh, God.
But is that not the sport we all get excited for, right? Yeah. I was watching, and the goal for when Newport made it 2-1, the first goal, by the way, one of the best goals you'll see in the FA Cup this year. One of the best goals you'll see in the FA Cup this year.
One of them goals was scored by one of them's an avid Man United fan.
Mm-hmm.
Either the first or the second.
Oh, yeah.
That must be brilliant.
That must be awesome. It must be fun.
So good for him.
Other games today, Liverpool, again, this is the first game since Klopp has announced his oncoming retirement. Not retirement, I should say. I don't know if it's retirement, is leaving Liverpool, because I assume he will go coach again. He's actually the favorite for another...
West Germany, isn't it?
Well, he's favorite for Barcelona. They want him because Xavi has said he's leaving at the end of the year too.
I mean, it won't be yet. He needs to take a break.
I think he's going to take a break. I think he's taking a break. Yeah. But we can talk. They won 5-2 against Norwich City, formerly in the Premier League. No real issues for them there. It was light work. Diego Jota getting involved with the scoring. Virgil van Dijk scored a bullet header. They're really clicking on all cylinders right now. It looks like them and Man City look to be the two most informed teams in the world right now, at least in England, but maybe even the world.
But even Virgil.
Yeah.
Van Dijk, what is it?
Yeah, Van Dijk.
Van Dijk, same thing. Even Virgil, he said now we've got that, we want to win it for the boss.
Oh yeah, so, I think that Jurgen kind of sees a lot of his players coming to an end. Like you think of the Jurgen Klopp era and the players that established it, right? It's Van Dijk, it's Mane who's no longer there, it's Firmino who's no longer there, it's Salah who's coming to an end there. There was you think of other great players there, Gini Wijnaldum, Emre Can, that kind of started this Klopp era. And we're there for it. They are all kind of leaving, so it kind of makes sense that his book is coming to an end too.
As much as you'd like to get that job, isn't it so hard? How can you go and try and beat the fella that's just there? It's like following Ferguson.
It's like replacing Bill Belichick for the Patriots, right?
Exactly,
for the American Birds, if they have
Yeah.
Mayo now is the new man there, and he's a young guy. He's been in the organization, so you get that homegrown type of thing. I think Liverpool do that to an extent with Xabi Alonso, former player. He's now running to the manager role. He looks really good. But yeah, the pressure that must be sitting on him is on whoever comes in, not him being whoever comes into that role must be massive. But I would also say this. I thought Everton away was going to be one of the toughest grounds for the rest of the year after their point deduction. Pray for any team that has to go to Anfield from now until the end of Klopp's era, because every single game is going to be a Champions League final there.
As I said, if they lose it 1-0 or 2-1 or whatever, come on, let's do it. But,
that crowd is going to propel them into so many games. One more big rivalry, Wolves 2, West Brom 0. They properly hate each other. And you want to talk about the hooligans, how that's kind of drawn out. There was some really angry... There was a fan...
How long was the game stopped for?
I'm not even sure. There's the fan who was like bleeding from his head, and the Wolves fans were chanting they were chanting some very bad things at him, like not nice things that you don't say.
The last podcast, I think that's when we touched on hooliganism.
Yeah.
Hooliganism.
Mm-hmm.
And we were saying that thank God it's died out. It's died out. There we go. As soon
It's
as we
right
say
back.
it goes.
It's back.
But I know they're both teams from the Midlands. They call it the Black Country.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked somebody why they called it the Black Country. It's because of all the coal mines years ago. They were coal miners. I didn't know that. But anyway, that's what it was. But I was talking to an Aston Villa fan. He said, no, they hate each other.
They hate each other.
You know?
I mean, it's crazy, too, because that is a matchup that you don't even see every year. West Brom have been in the championship a couple of years now. They've played yo-yo for a little bit. But Wolves have been a team that they will manage themselves in the Premier League pretty well, so they don't even play each other, bar this
how many years?
FA
12 years or something?
FA Cup draw, right? Where they happen to meet each
Yeah.
other, and it's just the hatred never leaves. But I think, like I said, we talk about this occasionally, but that tribalism in the sport and how much we want to be there, how
I
much
read
we want to be
something
there.
this morning on the phone. I'm talking about this, reading about this, what went on with West Bromwich and Wolves,
Mhm.
and they said, well, it's not a soccer problem. It's
Culture,
can you call it culture?
like the fans, the culture of the
it's
fan
not even
base,
that. But
really.
they said no. It's England's problem. I couldn't think of the word. It's England's problem, but it's not. It's not. It's just. I'm telling you, it's just people, kids, whatever they are. They know they can get away with it. Everybody's there and they all do it, and one does it, they all do it, and they can get away with it.
Yeah.
Oh, they'll get caught because there's cameras everywhere now. But that's all it is. Like I said, when I was 14, I followed the Chelsea, and I remember we put some bricks through some windows, and I did it because they did.
Allegedly, yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was exciting. I didn't want to do it, but they're all doing it.
But that's what you, because
Bollocks.
it's that tribalism, right?
Yeah.
You're with, it's those people that you identify with, that football team you identify with. Oh,
It
well,
only
people that
takes one or
support them are
two,
doing
and the
it.
rest follow.
There you go. And that's how it works. And like it is that tribalism, is that mentality. It is that, oh, you like B, I like A. We can't like each other. We have to have problems now. And it really is that simple, but it goes to the passion of the sport. And at the end of the day, like BJ says, or you will hear later, we had the interview with him. At the end of the day, after a game of screaming and yelling and bantering each other, like you and I could watch a Chelsea-Arsenal game and we could shit on each other for 90 minutes straight. But then after that, we could share a beer and still talk and be friends and do the podcast, no problem at all. So I think that sometimes it might go a little far, like that Wolves-West Brom game, but overall, I think that passion.
Anybody that lives in that area, and like I said, the bit of people I was talking to,
Mhm.
they all said there's going to be trouble there. So
Yeah,
they do.
some games you see them on paper and you just know it's going to be an issue. Some derbies, you know. But that pretty much does it for the FA Cup. I can go over some of the fifth round draws. Nothing crazy. Luton versus Manchester City. Wolves versus Brighton.
No,
City
you didn't
Premier
mention
League.
Luton getting through.
Luton did get through. Luton
Yeah.
beat Everton. I forgot to mention that. Thank you. I want to give Luton some credit because Luton beat Everton and they were not the better team for the majority of that game and they found a way to win. So I really want to big up
They
Luton.
don't give up. They keep fighting. I'm glad to
I
see
love
it.
I
Yeah.
love their story this year. I feel like as a neutral, it's hard not to root for Luton. And we all root for underdogs. I saw a video on it just the other day. It was on the Captains of the World Cup on Netflix, and they talk about the underdog teams, how everyone loves to root for them. It's fun rooting for Luton. They're a fun team, and credit them for getting through the next round.
I'll tell you, I forget which team it was, but one team who were down the bottom of the EPL, I forget which one it was, they said they put out a weaker team. They said, no, the manager doesn't need distraction of getting through the next round of the FA
He'd rather
Cup.
focus on this, yeah.
But no, you know, because then some of the fellas said, no, but then what it do is you get around the next cup, it gives you this lift and that.
It gives you more games. It gives you more opportunities. Well, think about it.
It
Think about Middlesbrough.
If
If you had told Middlesbrough, hey, you'll get to the semifinals of the EFL Cup against these, they would have ripped your arm off. Just the morale that gives a team to be, I'm competing with and among. I know they got demolished by Chelsea in the second leg, but to be competing in a Final Four where it's Chelsea and Man City
I don't believe in
and
putting a weaker team
Fulham,
out because you
not
don't
Man
want to be in
City,
the
sorry,
FA Cup
Liverpool.
anymore.
Yeah,
Because you want to stay in the EPL.
I get it. I do and don't get it. I think there's pros and cons, and I think it's also very dependent on where are you with injuries, where are you with the strength of your squad, and what games do you have coming up? How important are those, right? Because if you're going into a stretch where you have to go to Man City, home versus Arsenal, and then at Chelsea, you might roll up a stronger team for that FA Cup, looking at what's that. But if you're a small team, you've got Sheffield, and you've got Wolves, and then you've got Burnley, you might roll out a weaker squad for the FA Cup and focus on the league. So I see both sides of it.
Who's going to be in the FA Cup final? Come on, tell me now.
FA Cup final, Man City.
Oh, no, but why don't you play it safe?
I mean, heck, come on. I'm gonna say Man City. I'm gonna get bold. I'm gonna put Brighton in the FA Cup final. I think Brighton could do it. I'm gonna give them a good run, good tournament run. I like what João Pedro's doing. I see it in Europe. I think it can translate. I'm gonna put Brighton in the FA Cup final for fun. For
Don't
you,
forget, Man City, Brighton.
Man City, Brighton. only because I can't put Arsenal. But for you, FA Cup final?
I'm not stupid enough to.
No prediction?
No predictions.
Barry, we have a special guest today. We have BJ from the Dallas Shed, a Chelsea supporter. BJ, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, BJ Burruss. Me and a group of other Chelsea supporters started Shed in Dallas back in 2015. Been a Chelsea supporter for a while, but happy to be here. Thanks for inviting us out, and looking forward to the conversation today.
Yeah, so you and Barry know each other for a while. Barry, do you want to touch on just how you met BJ, how you guys know each other?
Before I talk about that, because I've known him for quite a few years, and it's always in Addison or at a game, and you know, you'll talk about soccer and football, whatever, and with that, and there's always a question I've always wanted to ask him.
Oh, perfect.
Don't mind.
Great time. We are.
When are you coming out the closet?
Well, you know what, Barry? I was waiting on you to come first. But,
Oh, okay. No, it's getting crowded in there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that's the number one question. You go. Look at him.
I thought you actually had something of value.
Oh, that's what he does.
I thought you're like, I've got a question. I'm like, oh my God, hell yeah, Barry, this is an interview. What a great time to stash that one. And then you start with that. Brilliant.
But did you see that? Hey?
Yeah, no, you were
He didn't
good.
blink.
You were great.
Took it in his stride.
No, he knew. Y'all have a rapport.
Yeah,
He gave it right back to you. BJ, actual question. The Shed in Dallas, can you talk a little bit more about that, what it is?
Yeah, so in 2015, we started Shed in Dallas. I had known Barry for quite a few years. We were part of another group here in Dallas. We moved pubs quite a bit, but one of the things that we enjoyed about the Londoner was on match day, even with the other teams, we had the banter going back and forth. We'd have sing-songs, and it was just a good atmosphere to be in when you go watch a Premier League match or even a European match. And so in 2015, we decided to start our own and really make the Londoner our home, mainly because of the rapport that we had with Barry and just with the other supporters that were here. And it's been something that's turned into something that I enjoy, and I think the team enjoys. Whether it's 5 of us or 50 of us, we're gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
You know, we get together, we celebrate weddings, you know, the birth of children, and it's something that doesn't just happen on match day. It happens throughout the week. And so, you know, even yesterday we had our first supporters club friendly, and we played Dallas Wolves, and you know, we got a team together, and it was great. We had a good time. So this is something that's more of a family, more so than anything else.
And so did you find that just through the love of the game or the love of Chelsea specifically? Is that you just looking for almost like a home for, because obviously we're in America, soccer is not the biggest one. We all know NFL is king. There's currently the Ravens are playing behind us right now. But were you kind of in search of that?
No.
Or did this kind of stumble onto you?
Actually, not at all. I just so happened to be in London at the bridge back in 2011 and saw this North Texas Blues banner. And one of the guys that was leading the tour, Elvis and Ledge, they basically say, hey, where are you from, Texas? Like, I got a really, really good friend that lives in Texas who ended up being Beth, who started Chelsea in America. And I was like, well, whenever I get back to Dallas, I'll look him up. But I think I know who you're talking about because she used to go to the London and Addison. And once I connected with them, that's when I started really enjoying watching with other people, because before that, I was watching at home.
Yeah.
You know, so I really didn't find them until then. And part of what we do at Shed in Dallas is a lot of times people can't necessarily afford to go to England to go watch a match. So what we try to do is bring Stamford Bridge and Chelsea to Dallas, right? Through the experience, through, you know, players coming over to visit, through Spy. He's come over here a couple times and hung out with us. The biggest thing is really just trying to get people to come over here so that people in Dallas can understand what it's like to be at the bridge on match day. And we try to replicate that atmosphere at the London.
Yeah.
And a lot of people and expats in general have found us online and come and had a good time with us.
Yeah, I think that's so important too, because we talk about the atmosphere of the game itself, and I feel like in America, so many people just aren't accustomed to seeing an atmosphere or aren't even aware of just how crazy it can be over there. So what exactly do you try to replicate with that atmosphere? Like, what parts of the atmosphere you're looking for? Is it just the camaraderie? Is it the noise? Is it the chants? Is it all of it? Because I feel like that match day experience is something that so many Americans aren't aware of, and I think that's so important that you're also bringing that over here. So can you speak on what you do to create that feel a little bit?
Yeah, so I think we take the piss out of the other supporters all the time.
Yeah, no, of course.
Mainly with DGS, they're our friends we love to hate, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I've had like 5 Chelsea
Yeah.
jokes in the chamber this whole
we
podcast. We're being nice.
always go back and forth, but at the end of the day, you can't replicate that experience anywhere else, really in the U.S. And definitely not in London, right? I mean, to see a group of Arsenal supporters and Chelsea supporters in the same bar just doesn't exist.
Yeah,
right?
no, that's not.
It'd
that
be
wouldn't fly.
aggro all over the place, but I think part of it is the camaraderie. I mean, I remember going over there in 2015 and they changed the actual match day. I missed the game. So my friend said, well, hey, we're going to come over and drink with you the day before and hang out. Next thing you know, we had 30 people out at the bar. And my flight is leaving in a day. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to miss more, actually drinking with you all or actually going to the match.
That's crazy.
And so that's what we try to do here. And definitely the sing-songs, going back and forth, chanting is always fun. But it ends up being more like a family atmosphere. I feel like whenever we're at the Londoner watching a match, it's like having this big old extended living room with all your friends and people that you hate to love or love to hate, however you want to do it, just going back and forth for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I love that.
When BJ goes to London and he gets with all these people, and he's done it quite a few times. You've been back and forth, and they meet in the pub and all that. When he leaves, even now they all talk about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
What do
is
they
that
say?
prick ever going to buy a round of
There
drinks?
it is.
I'm telling you. Anyway, he's famous.
I'm still waiting on you to buy me a drink.
Yeah,
What are you
there
talking
go.
about?
We'll
Yeah.
keep waiting.
So there, you hear BJ talk about the atmosphere and like recreating that. How do you feel like do you think the Londoner kind of does that too, to an extent, just like recreating that atmosphere with people and that diversity? And how is it different? Like, I know we said that you cannot have 2 rival supporters in the same bar, and you obviously grew up over this. Can you talk about just how serious that is about?
Oh yeah, there's no way in the world. You might be in a pub somewhere and there might be one Arsenal, one Chelsea bloke. That's not a problem.
They sit in the corner, yeah.
Whatever. But if you get like we do, we can get 20 to 50 to 60 Arsenal, same Chelsea. You couldn't do that in a million years. And what's good about it, and I'm not just in Addison, you've got Man City, Liverpool. I mean, you get a lot. That's their main groups.
Yeah, that's their.
And they could be there all on the same day. They might not be playing the same time. They definitely don't even have to be playing against each other. But they'd all start, like I said, if Arsenal's there and someone scores against Chelsea, all the Arsenal, City, Liverpool, they all jump up and then you have to take it.
I think we were all cheering today when that Man United game. I know we were watching that.
I was driving, they were 2-0 up, and I looked at the phone, it's 2-2. I'm like, he crashed. Brilliant.
They ended up winning 3-2.
I know.
But I do think that there is something to be said for how important that environment is. I mean, clearly we have the Londoner here, the Shed in Dallas. But we all come together, and it all is centralized around this one thing, which is the sport.
Apart from the game, isn't the trash talking the best part?
It is fun.
I mean,
it?
if not, sit at home and watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've texted some people today.
I know.
I was texting some Spurs fan, and I say, hey, I'm going to be watching the fifth round of the FA Cup draw. What are you going to be doing? Gardening?
Well, you might not be watching it because Chelsea have to do a replay.
Oh, no,
but,
we're there. Don't worry about it.
I know you like gardening.
We're there. I love it.
We're
Confidence. But no, I do agree. I think that it goes beyond just like, okay, we all have this shared common interest in the sport, which brings us here. But then that camaraderie of, like you said, like the trash talking, like the sharing a pint, like the singing of songs.
There's trash talking, and now and again, when they've had a few drinks, it gets a bit...
you know how it goes, yeah.
But it's never trouble.
Yeah, we talk trash for 90 minutes, and after the match, win or lose, we can at least sit down, have a pint, eat, talk trash, or even get together a couple days later for happy hour. And that to me is one of the special things about what the Londoner has done for football in Dallas, right? It's brought a lot of supporters not only to the pub to get that match day experience, but it's also allowed people to understand it's a culture.
It is.
Right? It's not just going to the pub. People don't understand that when I tell them that, hey, I get up at 6 a.m. to go eat eggs, bacon, and have a pint.
And go watch.
Not necessarily at 6, you can't serve until 7, but on Saturdays. But
legally speaking, of course. Legally covering our bases, by the way.
But to get up and go, it's more than just getting up and going and watching a game. It is the environment, the atmosphere, and the energy that it brings with it. I mean, it's something that I look forward to.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I look forward to it every week. I mean, I think also that makes it so special is we say there's too many games in soccer, but compared to like an NBA or an NHL season, it's nowhere close, right? So every game does matter.
One of the things about the pub, and I know we're talking about soccer.
Yeah.
Okay. Years ago, when I first had my first pub here, you'd get a plane load of English people coming over every month, every 3 months, because before 9/11, it used to be that way.
Yeah.
And they'd always come into the pub, and this is long before everything's the internet, this, that, and the other. And, oh, hello, George, all right, what are you doing? Yes, I'm just got here, you know, what do you do? I'm an electrician. Do you know anybody that's not got any work? And I used to find people jobs and hook them up and do that. And that's what a pub is. It's the same still there.
A family.
People come in. It is. People come in. That's what a pub is. It's a social part of the community.
Yeah.
I still find people jobs.
I think it's so important, too, also in the day and age we're living in, this post-COVID time where we all were so isolated for so long and locked in our houses and away from everything. And we all still, us fans, watch the games by ourselves. But now to kind of like re-emerge almost like a renaissance of like everyone coming back together and reuniting, coming back to the pubs, and just find not just a place to do that like the Londoner, but a place that is so friendly to do that like Londoner, where you said, look, I find people jobs, you get to meet people. You were dropping names like crazy over in London. You said you knew a name here in Texas. Mm-hmm. So I think it really does go to show that the game itself is just what ties everything together, but it's so much deeper than that. And a place like that here in America where people can come together to watch soccer is so important because you don't see it much. Because you don't see it in as rapidly as the game is growing in this country, because I see it all the time. Having recently graduated from college, I can tell you right now, my freshman year, the amount of Premier League jerseys on campus to my senior year skyrocketed.
Vastly different.
Even just my friends casually talking about it or someone's able to watch it, it's growing rapidly, and I think that the Londoner is so ahead of the curve in terms of this is a home base for people, this is a culture place as well. This is the culture. It is its own place.
We had someone the other day, they got in touch with the Liverpool Supporters Club. I've just arrived here. Where do the Liverpool fans go to watch?
Yeah.
And she gave this number and Addison address and all that. And what's good about that, if you're just over here, you don't know anybody, you come there.
Why not?
It's an instant family. I mean, you know, you got
it's like Cheers. You end up meeting so many people.
They're going to welcome you.
You will, because if I walk into a bar right now and it's an Arsenal playing and there's a bunch of people in Arsenal kits and I'm wearing this, I know that I have family there. I know that I have people that have shared interests, shared common goals here. We all want the team to win. But it's also just nice to know that you can have a conversation with people about something that you, or myself in this case, would be obsessed with, right?
Because other than that, you might not have anything in common whatsoever.
You don't have to.
The fact is you both follow Arsenal.
It's so beautiful, right? The sport itself is so beautiful because all you need to have is that one shared interest and boom. And so that's why I think places like the Londoner, the Shed, stuff that both of you guys do, it's so important. I think it really is. I don't think you guys get enough praise for how important this is because for so many people that y'all don't recognize this, but it is their family and people will say, not say it directly to you, but they will appreciate and keep coming back. And that's how they might show appreciation too of just, oh, the electrician that you found work, the Chelsea friend who just moved over from across the pond and doesn't know that many people here. You guys in these places give them this aura, this comfort, and I think that is so important in today with soccer growing in the States.
One thing we didn't ask him, and we've asked everybody here, what made you start supporting Chelsea?
I was going to go there, so I love that.
Well, you do it earlier.
What's funny is, so my dad was military, my dad was military, so I actually lived in England as a kid.
Okay.
I wasn't a Chelsea supporter back then. I remember us going to a few football matches, but that was the extent of it. So I grew up playing football over there. But it wasn't until I actually moved back to the States years later. I mean, it probably had been 2006, 2007.
Mm-hmm.
You know, prior to that, I think I had dial-up internet. I didn't have cable.
Yeah.
But, I upgraded and got fiber optic internet and got some really, really good cable. And I remember seeing, the football matches on Fox Soccer, I think is what it was called back then.
Yeah.
And I'm doing laundry and I'm watching Chelsea play. I don't even remember who they were playing.
Mm.
And I'm like, man, I remember seeing that team play, when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But I really didn't have any type of affinity to Chelsea at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And as the match just grew, I start finding myself rooting for him because of that connection.
Yeah.
And from that point on, I'm like, yeah, that's my crew. That's my team. Yeah, that's
you
my
find
team.
yourself in the team.
Yeah, and what's wild is when I've gone over to the bridge and I try to go a couple times a year, I haven't met a stranger, not one time that I've gone over there. From the very first trip that I went as an adult to go watch Chelsea play, I'm still friends to this day with a couple guys that I met there.
That's beautiful.
And we still talk on Facebook. When I'm over there, we still get together. And each year that circle grows bigger and bigger and bigger. Like I said, when I was there and I missed the Middlesbrough match,
mm-hmm.
and 20 of my friends came out to hang out with me and just have beers because they're like, you're not going to be here on match day, so let's drink. And we were at the Black Friar,
mm-hmm.
Drinking and having a good time. And we were supposed to go to like 5 different pubs. We stayed at one.
Get caught up.
Yeah, we got caught up, but we had a great time. And to me, that's the camaraderie that I love, and that's what we try to replicate here.
Yeah, I love that. I think that culture is growing amongst fans in the United States of it's so different from other sports, and obviously I'm not vastly experienced in life, all right? I'm fairly young. But what I've seen in other sports is so different from soccer in terms of that camaraderie and that true we are all together, because you see so many different sports, and even the fans can be from different walks of life. But with soccer and the Premier League or other European leagues, or really just the sport in general, it doesn't matter where you're from, how tall you are, short, whatever you are, who you are. You're there for one thing, and people will accept you for that on nothing else. You don't need any other basis. You're here to watch a game. You're here to support the same team I am. Great. Pull up. Have a pint with me.
Good, yeah.
It's beautiful.
You know, when we ask that question to everybody that comes on here, why did you support Chelsea after Tottenham? That is the longest answer to that question that I've heard.
That was one of the best answers I've heard.
You've taken up half the show. You've taken up half the fucking show.
Well, you wanted me to fucking tell you what?
Stop swearing.
All right, both of you stop fighting, because I will wrap this interview up. I do want to talk about current Chelsea with you a little bit.
All right.
Obviously, the past year hasn't been great for you, but Chelsea are finding a bit of form.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you have the replay. You're still in the FA Cup. You have the replay of Villa. You're in the EFL Cup semifinals for what will be
We're the final now.
Or the final, sorry. Final against Liverpool that's twice in 3 years. Hopefully, you and Liverpool finally have an interesting game. And that's 3 in a row in the Premier League as well. How do you feel about this Chelsea team, this new ownership, this new era, if you will, basically, since Bowley's come in?
Are you going to get mad if I give a long answer? You want me to say it in 4 words or less?
No, let's chat ball. Let's chat ball, brother. Go for it.
This had to happen, right? I mean, it sucked the way it happened. I mean, we go from a transfer ban when Lampard was the manager to then getting sanctioned by the government, which was basically the ouster of Abramovich, right? And so now we have new owners that are coming in. If you think about the last 12 to 15 years with Chelsea, we've had players on the squad that came from 5, 6, 7 different managers.
Yeah.
So you've never really been able to build a cohesive team around one manager. You don't get a chance to do that in the Premier League now anyway, because
very seldom, yeah.
Managers are getting sacked left and right, after a few, bad runs.
Yeah.
But I do think at some point you do have to reset.
Mm-hmm.
The reset's going to be hard. The reset's going to it's going to be terrible. It's going to suck, but it's necessary. And I think what you're finding is if you expected Poch to come in and start just winning straight out of the gate, that was never going to happen.
No.
I mean, and if it did, it wouldn't be anything that would be long lasting. So I think they are starting to find their feet a little bit, but I still think it's still going to be a rough rest of the season. I think next year will be a little rough too. But I figure if you give Poch the time and you give the players some time, within a year and a half, I think you'll really start seeing the results more consistently. Because right now it's about consistency. Mm-hmm. We'll go win 3 on the bounce and then go lose. Or like the Middlesbrough game the other day.
Losing to Middlesbrough.
Yeah, lose to them away,
6-1.
yeah. So I think there's still going to be that inconsistency.
I'll sorry, interrupt you.
Please.
I'll sound.
It wasn't your
his
fucking
name
turn.
is Ben.
It wasn't your turn. I was talking.
I know.
So why you interrupted?
Go on then. Ben, press that red button. It's the fire alarm. Fucking save us. The red button, the fire alarm.
No, but I think you're in a good spot. I feel like you have a really good, realistic approach to Chelsea. Most fans I hear are a little more deluded, but I appreciate how you are like, no, we will suffer, and we have to suffer, because as an Arsenal fan, someone who suffered.
Didn't you? You did.
Oh, we suffered before Arteta under the Unai Emery era. We had the fake, 20 unbeaten, everything's great run, and then, oh no, we're shit.
Well, even with Arteta, I mean, remember, what was it, 2
Oh,
seasons ago?
when Arteta first came in, we had one win. We had
3
one
games.
Win.
You lost at the start of the season, and then when the team started finding its feet,
then it started clicking when the players get healthy. So I think that's so true. You need to give managers more time in today's game. It's so rare, but I like that. Last question for you: score prediction. Chelsea-Liverpool Cup final. They've been very boring as of late. Your Cup finals with Liverpool have been boring people lately. Will this one be interesting and an honest prediction?
You're gonna have to check my math on this. I think the last 5 times we've played Liverpool have ended in a draw.
I know that. Yeah, that's true.
They've won us. I think they beat us in 2 finals.
2 penalties.
On penalties.
Yes, correct.
When we played them earlier this season, it was a draw.
Did you see them finals? They were the best 0-0 games I've seen in a long time. They were fantastic to watch, weren't they?
Aside from the fact that we got a red card in probably one of them, I don't know.
Yeah, there were a couple that I think Chelsea Mount kind of cost you one, missing a chance. Kepa missing the penalty, obviously sending it to Narnia. So there's been some misfortune with your finals.
We play up though. We always play up. We always play up.
But with Liverpool also now, and we will touch on this. I don't know how this podcast will be ordered, but there'll be another part of this podcast where we talk about Klopp and that bounce they're going to have now with him announcing he's retiring at the end of the year. Do you think that that's got to play a factor? Surely
It's going to, because they're going to want to send him out with the win.
Everything, yeah.
They're going to want to send him out with silverware. I think for us, the thing that's going to be important is we've got to make use of our chances. You can't have an open net and then shoot it to Rosie. You can't have
Okay, you say that the Liverpool want to send Klopp out with a win.
Yeah, of course.
What about our manager? Well, let's get him his first trophy. Let's get him his first.
trophy. I think that's kind of what the resurgence was on the second tie of the semifinal of the Carabao Cup, right? It's like this is make or break, and I think what a lot of us in Shed in Dallas on our Facebook group have talked about, because we have debates on it almost daily.
Yeah.
And one of the guys in our group, Joe Gates, was basically like, hey, look, I think this is going to be one of two ways. We're either going to see a big resurgence and we're going to do really well toward the end of the season, or this is where we're going to really just start to crumble and implode. And I think it's going to be a combination of that, right? I do think
you have some tough games coming up too.
We do have some tough games. But I do think that, to your point, I do think, hey, this would be his first chance at silverware in English football. Because I don't think he's won anything in English football.
No, he was
and then two,
previously.
if we do get that, I do think that's what helps to build that confidence for the players to go out week in and week out and actually do well. But they do have to complete their chances. They got to finish.
I agree. I think that winning this trophy is almost as important for Chelsea's next season as it is to finish this one.
But what Mourinho, that's what he won, wasn't it? If the Carabao Cup was his first trophy, I believe, and that he said it
can propel you.
Get used to winning.
Yeah,
get that winning. That's what it is.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
You know, the Carabao Cup. If you get knocked out of it, it's not a big deal.
It's not the end of the world.
If you get to the final,
you want to win it. It definitely it's the same.
It's silverware.
It's almost like the Community Shield in a way too. It's like, look, we know it's given as a preseason friendly, but to start the season with a trophy means something. It kicks it on a little bit.
I'm going to talk about the Community Shield. Plus, his favourite word, and I can't say it, is "see you next Tuesday."
Yeah.
Okay, and you know it is.
Yeah, but I learned it from you.
I know. Okay, fair enough. Okay.
All right.
Go on. There's a player that used to play for Manchester United and England, Gordon Hill. He was a winger. Okay. Well, we get soccer players coming into our pubs, and Gordon Hill used to come in there. He's a friend of somebody over here, Jeff Coleman. Anyway, he used to come in, and when they come in, I never ask them questions about their game. Just let me enjoy their beer, have something to eat, have a chat. And sometimes they talk about it. Well, Gordon Hill was telling me they were playing Liverpool. Manchester United were playing Liverpool in the Community Shield, he said. And he said, we took it serious enough that we didn't want to lose. If we lost, it wasn't a big deal. He said, we're playing against Liverpool at Wembley. He said, the referee was absolute crap. He said, so I'm walking by the ref. He said, ref, if I called you a see you next Tuesday, he said, you'd send me off, wouldn't you? He said, yes, I would. He said, but if I thought you were a see you next Tuesday, you couldn't do anything about it, could you?
Of course.
He went, no. He said, well, I think you're a see you next Tuesday. He said the referee started laughing and that. And it was good. I think that's next time a policeman stops you, do that.
Yeah, love that. Brilliant. All right, well, we'll end the interview there. BJ, thank you for your time, man, and your insight. Shed in Dallas, guys. Check it out. BJ's the man there.
How do people join if they want to join or get in touch?
First thing first, come to the pub. Come hang out with us. Outside of that, we can be found on Facebook and Instagram. So we have Instagram pages, Shed in Dallas, and same thing, Shed in Dallas-members on Facebook.
But you do Facebook. The good thing about these supporters clubs now with the internet, they talk all around
the country. They can connect everywhere, yeah.
And you do, don't
internationally. I mean, it's amazing how many people from overseas will come and say, hey, I saw you on Facebook or I saw you online, because we have a website as well. And that's their first interaction with us. Yeah. And they come to the pub and I'm meeting somebody for the first time. They didn't know anything about us until they actually put in a search and we popped up.
I'll do a deal. If you can come to the pub, if you meet BJ, if you can get BJ to buy you a drink, I'll also buy you a drink. I'll match you.
There you go, guys. So there you go. Step one.
I just bought like 5 drinks at the match the other day on Friday.
You did?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna let them settle this off the pod, guys. But that'll do it for the interview today. Thank you, and again, come by, hang out with us, come to the pub, come to the shed. Thank you again, BJ, for your time today.
I appreciate it.
All right, so let's wrap up then, Barry, with another segment of what you do so well, which is our slang. You teach us English slang. So you mentioned you had some more words you wanted to teach us today.
I did. I wasn't ready for it. I didn't even think of one. I mean, I was talking, obviously, last week. There's plenty. There's a million of them.
Oh, give me something.
You know? We've got... If you go to a pub...
Yeah?
Like, I'd have a pig's ear. Yeah.
A pig's
Pig's
ear?
ear. Yeah.
Why is that? Just because it sounds like it's just
'cause
slant
rhymes.
rhyme?
Everybody, it is, but everybody knows what it is. That is just the one. You can't just make it up. You know.
Yeah. No, you can't just make a
Yeah,
but
you
that's
got a pig's
the
ear.
word.
Gold watch is Scotch.
Okay.
Beerlin, gin.
Okay.
So yeah, they've all got. I'd have a Beerlin. I'd have a gold. What's gold? Yeah. So yeah, you can go to a pub and you can order a round of drinks in Cockney rhyming slang.
I love that. Well,
Next week, remind me. I didn't come prepared.
Oh, you're fine.
I know them all, but I have no clue. It's just
no, you're too prepared, is my opinion. I love it. So we'll end on that. I like that. You guys can use that. Next time you go to a bar, order a pig's ear, order a gold watch, and a Virulin. Get yourself a nice little mixture. Have a great night. That'll do it for this episode, guys. Thank you.
From me and the septic. We're not letting that one go.
Yeah, no, you can't. Can't let that one slide. Thanks, y'all.